Okay, so apparently this is going to be my first video calculating feats from a video game character. And that's actually pretty embarrassing. I mean, after all, I claim to talk about video games in my intro, but I haven't yet. And it's been about a year. So once I was informed of this, I immediately began brainstorming on things to calculate. To my surprise, the vast majority of what I thought of came from Final Fantasy. So right then and there, I decided where I was going to take the feat that I was going to calculate from. But then I thought about it and decided that calculating just one feat from Final Fantasy seemed rather boring. Then it hit me, a feat compare and contrast between the original and the remake. Which game has the faster characters? So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to find the speed of Cloud Strife from both games and then discover if new is better or if the old still has it going on.
It's over!
That's my line.
Hello Internet, Jojo here, and welcome to IdeaShock, where we are finally going to calculate some feats from a video game. Now, I feel like I should let you know that while I do really want to cover more video game characters, and you guys seem to want me to, they're just really hard to analyze. This is mostly due to the fact that I actually have to sit down and play the game, so that means that doing research on a game takes up a lot of time, and role-playing games just are a time glutton. They eat up all the time.
Wow! Let's do that again! No!
However, sometimes when I'm playing a game, I'll just get a sense that I'm about to come across something really cool. Other times I just start recording everything and I'm super happy when I end up getting something nice. You should see how much footage I have of the Final Fantasy VII demo. I've actually come to the point where I actually feel sad for my PlayStation having so much data on it. Anyways, when I was playing the original Final Fantasy VII in all its pixely glory, I came across the Shinra Corporation building. And this is one of those times where I could just feel that there was something good in there. When you actually get inside the building, your team will end up fighting against all sorts of enemies. Enemies like humans, robots, giant robot fish, because Japan, I guess? Out of all these enemies, the one that stood out to me the most was a simple, actually pretty boring, security turret. To be honest, the turret somehow reminded me of the police robots from WALL-E. They look nothing like them, but for some reason I couldn't stop comparing the two. Anyways, these turrets have two main weapons, a machine gun, and the one that got the wheels on my brain turning, it's laser. After a few hours of trying to get footage of these turret things and fighting way too many of those fish, for some reason their encounter rate is a lot higher than turrets for some reason, or at least it was for me. I finished the mission and then almost immediately came across this weird centaur thing. This encounter rendered the entire couple hours I'd spent getting footage from the security turrets pointless because this creature also fires a laser. This is why I have trust issues. If you can't trust a video game, who can you trust?
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
The thing that caught my eye about the centaur thing was the fact that if you slow down the footage, you can actually see the laser beam moving towards its target. So if we measure the real time it takes for the laser to cross the distance between it and Cloud, and then time how long it takes for him to cover a similar distance, we can find Cloud's speed. Using this footage and Aerith as a ruler, we find the laser crossed about 570 centimeters. Then, by timing out how long it takes for the beam to cover this distance, we get a time of 0.06 seconds. Essentially, this means that as the player, we are viewing events in this fight in super slow motion, and even then, these characters are moving at blazing speeds. Looking back at Cloud, and we find that when he moves to attack this enemy, he has to cover 610 centimeters, and he can do this in about 0.36 seconds. This is not near quite as fast as the laser, but it's still fast enough to be considered relativistic. But by comparing the two measured times and the distance moved, and we find that Cloud must be capable of moving at 119.7 million miles per hour, Mach 156,000, or simply 17.85% the speed of light. This is absolutely absurdly fast, and while it might seem to be too fast for a character like Cloud, it's not really that hard to believe because there are a lot of lasers in Final Fantasy VII. Now that we have Cloud speed from old school Final Fantasy done and calculated, let's move on to the remake. But before we do, let me just ask, have you subscribed yet? If not, then you probably should do that before you forget. I mean, you wouldn't want to miss out on awesome videos like this one, would you? So I mean, go ahead and subscribe, and you won't regret it because most of my videos are this good, if not worse. So go ahead, click that button so that you won't forget. Got it? Sweet. In the Final Fantasy VII demo, you play through the Shinra Mako reactor, and while you do fight soldiers and mutant dogs, the only thing that has a laser on it, besides the robot scorpion thing, are these turrets. So after wandering around for a while trying to get Barret to stand in place, have these lasers target him, and get a good view of it, I finally did, and that's what we're going to use for this calculation. For taking Barret's height of 6 foot 5 inches, and comparing it to the distance the laser had to cover, we find this laser had to have crossed about 6.85 meters. Timing it out, and it takes about 2.45 seconds for the laser to cover the entire distance. Considering that light moves at almost 300 million meters per second, this means that every second in the slow motion tactical mode is the equivalent of 9.33 to the minus 9th power seconds of real time. Now we also know, because of the timer that shows up on screen when you're trying to skip the Shinra power plant, that every second in tactical mode is 1 in-game centisecond, or 100th of a second. Multiplying 9.33 to the minus 9th power by 100, we find that 1 second of in-game time is the equivalent of 9.33 to the minus 7th power of real time. So with this time, we just need to find a distance per second to compare it to. Cloud is a super soldier, and so it would not be too far-fetched to compare him to Olympic athletes. In order for a man to qualify for the Olympics, he would have to be able to run the 100-meter sprint in a minimum of 10.05 seconds. This means that he would need to move at about 9.95 meters per second. Assuming that Cloud is moving at this speed proportional to the time, and we just need to divide 9.95 meters per second by 9.33 to the minus 7th power to find that Cloud can move at a speed of 10,655,000 meters per second, or 23,836,000 miles per hour. This is just over 3.5% the speed of light. This is obviously not quite as fast as classic Cloud, but this is just his running speed. He can swing his sword much faster. Scanning through the footage that I captured, and I found that Cloud's fastest swing is when he's in punish mode, unleashing a combo on the enemy. From this clip, we can see that Cloud's swing makes a 3/4 circle, and considering the length of both his arm and the Buster Sword, this swing must have a perimeter of about 13.5 meters. Cloud's sword is able to cover this distance in just 1600ths of a second, meaning that it would appear to be moving at about 84.375 meters per second. Applying the same numbers we did when we calculated Cloud's running speed, and we find that he must be swinging at over 90,434,000 miles per hour, Mach 118,000, or 13.485% the speed of light. This is definitely relativistic, but still not as fast as classic Cloud. So in conclusion, when it comes to pure speed, old school Final Fantasy VII takes this win with a speed of 119.7 million miles per hour, but when it comes to information processing speeds and reaction times, the remake takes this with a newly implemented tactical mode and a processing speed that is about 26.8 million times faster than the average human can react. With that, we've come to the end of the speed calculations. But I really don't want to end it yet. How about this? Let's talk about how much power a sword swing at this speed should have. Now, many different estimates have the Buster Sword's weight at somewhere around 100 pounds. So, assuming the most conservative swing acceleration, and Remake Cloud must be able to generate about 17.7 megatons of TNT with his swing, and Classic Cloud must be striking with about 31 megatons of TNT. That's a lot. Way more powerful than they probably should be. But hey, I just present the math, it's not my fault if it's not lore friendly. There you have it guys, my first video game character calculation. If you want more, you know what to do. As always, leave a comment down below. And if any of you have any one particular feat that you want me to calculate for whatever character, then leave that down in the comments as well. In case any of you are Naruto fans, just know that I do plan on calculating a certain feat at some point in the future. So there you go, a little sneak peek of what's to come. That said, thanks for watching, see you next time, remember to stay spectacular. JoJo, out.